In the previous class, we have discussed about the habitat, niche and what are environmental equivalents. So now we are going to see about the ecological factors in this topic. Many organisms live in an environment. So when we talk about the environment, it includes the physical, chemical and the biological components. When a component surrounding an organism affect the life of an organism, it becomes a factor. For example, during winter season, we are wearing the woolen clothes. But at the same time, in the summer season, we are wearing the light cotton clothes. So this is because of our climatic condition. So this affects our way of life or our mode of life. So these factors are said to be the environmental factors or ecological factors. So now let us see about the ecological factors. So the ecological factors, it has been classified into two categories as biotic factors and the abiotic factors. So when we talk about the ecological factors, when we go for the ecological factors, we will be discussing it under the four groups: climatic factors, edaphic factors, topographic factors and biotic factors. In this slide, we can see how the factors are influencing the plant life. So what are the factors? The climatic factors, biotic factors and the edaphic factors. So all these three factors influence the life of a plant. So let us discuss about the climatic factors. Climate is one of the important factors which controls the plant life. So the climatic factors has been classified as light, temperature, water, wind and fire. Let us discuss about each topic under each headings. Under the climatic factor, the first factor which we are going to discuss is light. So which is the chief source of light? As you know, the sun is said to be the chief source of light. So the sunlight, it influences the physiological activities of the plant. So what are the physiological activities? The physiological activities are such as photosynthesis, transpiration, seed germination and flowering. So the portion of the sunlight which can be resolved by human eye is called as visible light. So the wavelength, what is the wavelength of the visible light means? It is from 400 nanometer to 700 nanometer. When we say about the 400 nanometer, the color of the sunlight is violet. To 700 nanometer, the color of the sunlight is red. So for photosynthesis, it is maximum at blue and red. So the green is absorbed less strongly by the plants. So here you can see in the picture, for speed sprout, red light is required, and for the plant growth, red light plus blue light is required. For the flower blooming, red light is required in large amount. For the fruits forming, red light and blue light is required, and for nutrients, UV light is required by the plant at different wavelengths. Now let us discuss about the plant based on the tolerance to intensity of light. So based on the tolerance to intensities of light, the plant has been classified into two categories: heliophytes and xeophytes. Heliophytes means the plants that loves light or light loving plants. So it requires more light for its physiological activities. Example, angiosperms. Xeophytes means the plant lives in shade. It requires only less light and it is called as shade loving plants. Example, bryophytes and pteridophytes. So, what is paleoclimatology? Paleoclimatology means it helps us to reconstruct past climates of our planet and flora, fauna and ecosystem in which they lived. Now let us discuss about the temperature. The temperature is the next important factor which influences the life of an organism. So every physiological process in an organism requires an optimum temperature at which it shows the maximum metabolic rate. There are three limits of temperature which controls the metabolic activities of the organism. Minimum temperature, optimum temperature, maximum temperature. In minimum temperature, the physiological activities, it will be low. Optimum temperature, the physiological activities are maximum. The temperature required by the organism is said to be the optimum temperature, and in that optimum temperature, all the physiological activities will be maximum. Maximum temperature, so here the temperature will be very high, so all the physiological activities will stop. According to Ron Caire, vegetation is classified into four types. They are megatherms, mesotherms, microtherms and hexisotherms. Under temperature, we are going to see about the thermal tolerance. The thermal tolerance is classified into two categories as eurythermal and stenothermal. Eurythermal, organism which can tolerate wide range of temperature fluctuation, is known as the unithermal. Example, Zostria. Stenothermal, organism which can tolerate only small range of temperature and it cannot grow in the region where is too cold or too hot. Example, all the terrestrial angiosperms. The best example is mango and palm. The mango plants, it cannot grow in temperate countries like Canada and Germany. Thermal stratification. It is usually found in the aquatic habitat. The change in the temperature profile with increasing depth in a water body is called thermal stratification. The thermal stratification is classified into three: epilimnion, metalimnion and hypolimnion. The epilimnion means the upper layer of warmer water which consists of plants. Metalimnion means the middle layer with a zone of gradual decrease in temperature. Hypolimnion means the bottom layer of colder water where we cannot find any organisms. The variation in latitude and altitude also affect the temperature and vegetation on the earth. When we talk about the latitude, the angle that ranges from 0 degree at the equator to 90 degree at the poles. So the vegetation in the 0 degree at the equator will be thick when we compare with the poles. Same way the altitude. The altitude is said to be the height of the place above the sea level. As the height of the land increases, the temperature decreases. Accordingly, there will be a large variation in vegetation. When we see the base of the mountain, we can see a thick evergreen forest, but at the top or at the peak, the mountain is totally covered with the snow and there will be no vegetation. Let us see about the effects of temperature. The effects of temperature. What are the effects of temperature? It affects the enzymatic actions. It also influences the carbon dioxide and oxygen solubility in the biological system. Low temperature with high humidity can spread disease to plant. So when the temperature is very low and when it is having high humidity, the fungi will easily affect the plant and it causes the disease to the plant. The varying temperature with the moisture determines the distribution of the vegetation types. So as you know, what are the different types of vegetation found on our environment? Evergreen forest. So when the rainfall is very heavy, we can see a dense forest which is said to be the evergreen forest. So if it is having a tropical condition, then deciduous forest will be found. If there is no rainfall, desert vegetation will be occurring. So these are the different types of vegetation found according to the moisture of a place. Now let us see the next environmental factor, water. So water is said to be the most important climatic factor and it affects all the vital process of the living organism. So without water, no living organism can survive on this earth. So when we talk about the water covers more than 70% of the earth's surface. So in nature, water is available to plants in three ways. So what are the three ways how the water is available to the plant means it is by means of atmospheric moisture, precipitation and soil water. When we talk about the atmospheric moisture, the water or the water vapors which are present in the atmosphere will help in the growth of the plant. Precipitation, rainwater. Rain is the main source of the water for the plant. Soil water. In the soil water, the capillary water alone is available for the plants for its growth. So the productivity and the distributions of the plants, it is dependent on the availability of the water which is found in the particular area. The density of the plant in an area depends upon the availability of the water. We have already studied in our lower classes regarding the evergreen forest. The evergreen forest grows where there is heavy rainfall occurs throughout the year. There is another type of forest which is said to be the sclerophyllous forest. So these sclerophyllous forests are found where heavy rainfall occurs during winter and low rainfall during summer. So the productivity and the distribution of the plants depends upon the availability of the water. Further, the quality of the water is also important for the aquatic organism. So the total amount of the water salinity in different water bodies are 5% in inland water, which is said to be the fresh water, 30 to 35% in sea water and more than 100% in the hypersaline water. Now let us see, based on this salinity of the water, we have classified the organisms into two types, euryhylene and stenohylene. Euryhylene means the organism which can live in water with a wide range of salinity. So even if the water is having a large amount of salt, the organism can survive in that water. Example, marine algae and marina angiosperms. Stenohylene. Here the organism can withstand only with a small range of salinity. Examples, plants of estuaries. So the organism if it is able to survive in water which is having less amount of salt, then that type of tolerance is said to be the stenohylene. Now let us see about the tolerance to toxicity. So there are some plants which can tolerate the toxicity and it can grow. So for some plants that can remove the cadmium from contaminated soil is known as the phytoremediation. So what is phytoremediation? The plants which are used to remove cadmium from the contaminated soil. Example, soya bean and tomato, rice and acornia. So rice and acornia, it can tolerate the cadmium by binding it to their proteins so that it can remove the toxicity from the soil. So these plants are grown for removing the toxicity. So these plants are said to be the phytoremediation. Let us discuss about the another climatic factor, wind. What is wind? Already in the lower classes we have learned that air in motion is called wind. So the atmospheric air, it contains a number of gases like nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, inert gases, water vapor and dust, smoke, etc. So what is the percentage of the gases present in the air? Nitrogen, it is about 78 percentage, oxygen 21 percentage, carbon dioxide 0.03 percentage and other gases is about 0.93 percentage. The air also consists of other components such as water vapor, gaseous pollutants, dust, smoke particles, microorganisms, pollen grains and spores. So the instrument which is used to measure the speed of the wind is said to be the anemometer. Let us discuss about the effects of winds. During the rainy season, we have seen the cloud formation. This cloud formation is formed because of wind. So the cloud formation leads to the formation of rain. The wind, it causes the formation of waves in lakes and oceans. So this wind, it also helps in pollination, dispersal of fruits, seeds, spores, etc. Already in the lesson 1 we have discussed about the pollination and dispersal of fruits and seeds. Unidirectional winds, it will be creating a flag like appearance on trees. So when the wind blows in one direction, the trees moves towards the direction and it gives a flag like appearance. So the heavy winds, it will be eroding the fertile soil from a particular place and it reduces the soil fertility. So this wind, it also causes the rate of transpiration. So sometimes the wind, it uproots the big trees. Now let us see about the next factor, fire. Fire is an exothermic factor caused due to the chemical process of combustion releasing heat and light. So the fire, it is mostly a man-made and sometimes it occurs naturally due to the friction between the tree surface. So the fire, it is generally divided into ground fire. So the ground fire, it is flameless and it is subterranean. Surface fire, it consumes the herbs and shrubs. Crown fire. Crown fire totally it destroys the forest canopy. So what are the effects of the fire? It is a direct lethal effect on plants. Burning scars are the suitable places for the entry of parasitic fungi and insects which causes various disease in the plants. It brings out the alteration of light, rainfall, nutrient cycle, fertility of the soil, pH, soil flora and fauna. Some fungi which grows in soil of burned areas, it is called as the pyrophilus. Example, Pyrocnema confluens.